go for launch.
5.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Anything can happen in the next half hour.
4.
My friend, we cannot keep this a secret any longer.
This whole thing is insane.
3.
Quiet, please. I am analyzing.
Where's the kaboom?
2.
There was supposed to be an earth-shattering kaboom.
1.
I am not a bounty hunter. I've heard otherwise. I know that you sit on the throne of your former employer. Jabba ruled with fear. I intend to rule with respect.
You were all once captains under Jabba the Hutt.
I'm here to make a proposal that's mutually beneficial. Why speak of conflict when cooperation can make us all rich?
What prevents us all from killing you and taking what we want?
If you had spoken such insolence to Jabba, he'd have fed you to his menagerie.
Please, speak freely.
Greetings, my fellow galactic travelers, and welcome back to Planet 8. This is your mission commander Larry speaking to you from our hidden base. Chief Engineer Bob is here by my side as always in the command center, and circling Planet 8 in our orbital spy satellite is Reconnaissance Officer Karen.
And on this episode of Planet 8, we're fortunate to have our good friend with us again, Lord Blood-Rah. This podcast, we're going to be discussing the Book of Boba Fett. Straight away, let's kick it up to the satellite. Before we get into the episode, let's have a round robin and talk to everyone tonight here on Planet 8 of your first impressions, first viewing, first time you saw or were exposed to Boba Fett. Karen.
All right. Well, I think all of us are of a certain age here, so the first time I saw Boba Fett would have been on the holiday special in the cartoon.
Right.
And I know I saw it somewhat stupefied at what I was seeing that evening with, B. Arthur and,
Arnie.
Chewbacca's father looking at porn or whatever was going on there. I'm not sure what was going on. And then there was the cartoon, which was probably the best part of the show.
Oh, easily,
yeah. Boba Fett was in that, but I don't know that really made that much of an impression on me, as much as seeing him in Empire. And I know this may shock some people who were born later on and saw the, reimagined versions of Star Wars where he's inserted into Star Wars, or what they want to call A New Hope, where they have the Jabba scene and Boba Fett's walking around. But we all know that that's not what actually happened. He actually showed up in Empire first, and he was kind of a skinny, lanky guy who was in the background, who had one or two, he's worth a lot to me and blah, blah, blah. And he just looked kind of tough. He took a shot at Luke in Cloud City, and he had kind of a cool ship, cool armor, and it was like, oh, okay. And then in return, he just kind of, seemed like he was inept. He lands on the skiff to shoot at Luke, gets his gun chopped in half. He can't capture Luke. He jetpack gets hit by a blind Han Solo. He falls in Sarlacc. I was like, I have been mystified for years about why people thought Boba Fett was so cool. And it took the Mandalorian show, really, where he shows up and he, is kicking everybody's butt and was actually, finally given something of a personality and everything. Because I didn't read any of the books or any of that stuff. So my impression was always like, he looked really cool. He had a really cool ship. But that was about it. And he was certainly not a character I had made any kind of investment in. And that was kind of where I was at, coming into all this.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Well, let's go over to our chief engineer, Bob.
Well, I probably had the same reaction as Karen. I mean, I think the whole thing was he looked cool. And there was a action figure out that was supposedly pretty hard to get. It's kind of limited. And people just latched onto it like, oh, this guy must be special. But interestingly, I was watching on Disney Plus, they have a little 20-minute special like The Legend of Boba Fett, where they kind of go back and they talk about how the character was developed and all this other stuff. But the first appearance of Boba Fett was not in the holiday special.
Oh, right.
It was actually in a parade in San Anselmo where ILM took Darth Vader and Boba Fett down there in the actual screen costumes and had them in a parade. Now, I don't remember if it was a holiday parade or a 4th of July parade or what it was, but it was a parade in San Anselmo. For people who are not from Northern California, San Anselmo is out by Marin where Lucas Ranch and ILM and everything was born and where they were first housed, I guess. Right. But that was kind of the first. And, they show people getting autographs from the two of them. And I'm sure the kids had no idea who this guy was walking along with Darth Vader. But they even have an interview with Lucas and a couple other people saying that originally there was going to be like a whole new type of stormtrooper. And they were all going to look like Boba Fett. There were going to be like 100 of them. And then suddenly, budgetary reasons and everything else, they could only do the one. And they ended up, he was all white at first. And then they went in and just, okay, well, we'll paint him up. And then George Lucas, I think, was the one who said, well, let's just make him a bounty hunter then. But yeah, I mean, as far as Boba Fett goes, he was just kind of a throwaway character. I think he had like 4 lines total between Empire and Jedi. And like Karen was saying, he was kind of bumbling around in Jedi. So I was never really like in awe of the character. It was just, Boba Fett, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. He had something like 6 minutes of screen time and 4 lines.
Yeah.
And one of those lines, I think, was him screaming into the Sarlacc pit.
Right.
But that's interesting. That's interesting, though, Bob. That's a good point. It wasn't the Star Wars holiday special. It was that parade. If you were fortunate enough to be...
if you were a kid in San Anselmo around 1978-ish, then, you saw Boba Fett's first appearance in a parade through town.
There you go.
You get the feeling that George Lucas was trying to make Boba Fett a fairly big deal, because I can remember the first time I saw him was in the holiday special, of course, in that cartoon, and it says introducing Boba Fett.
Right.
So I was like, oh, okay. So I figured this was going to be some major character coming up throughout the next few films. He plays a kind of a pivotal role in Empire, but again, very quiet. There's not much character there to go on. And I think maybe part of why there was a mystique around Boba Fett might have been that cartoon is just a little oasis of entertainment in the Star Wars holiday special. It's easily the best thing. As a matter of fact, it's the only part of the Star Wars holiday special you can watch on Disney Plus.
Right.
Now they excised that cartoon and called it Question of Faith, I think, or something. Like, give it a separate title.
Well, the interesting thing, if you watch this Legend of Boba Fett on Disney Plus, George Lucas, is talking about Boba Fett. He mentions the holiday special. Something he never does. I mean, he just buried that deep in his past, but he has finally acknowledged that it exists anyway.
I watch a lot of Disney vloggers that go to Disneyland and Disney World. I am so happy that Disney has embraced the Star Wars holiday special to the point where they're selling Life Day merchandise now. They're selling the globes. You can get a plush Chewbacca in the red robes holding a globe. It's like,
Well, even in The Mandalorian, one of the early episodes, they mentioned Life Day.
Life Day, right.
That's right. That's right. But when you look at Boba Fett was kind of, it's almost like Lucasfilm threw Boba Fett at the audience and said, "Here, you create him. We're going to keep him quiet. We're going to keep him, kind of mysterious." And the fans just kind of took off. Yeah. He just kind of, there's something about him that just grabbed the fans' imagination.
I agree. My first exposure was the holiday special too, and not to defend the holiday special, but back in the 70s, even the 60s, you had the Dean Martin Variety Hour, Flip Wilson, Sonny and Cher, Donnie and Marie, the Brady Bunch variety show. And a matter of fact, Donnie and Marie, I remember the droids being on the Donnie and Marie show, and Marie singing like Luke and Leia, kind of dressed up like that.
Oh yes,
I can't remember what song they sang, but I remember. It's on YouTube if anyone wants to look it up.
Age of
there you go.
You can see it. Maybe we'll post it on our Facebook page.
Oh, that'd be cool. and so it was the 70s. There was a different, Star Wars came out at the tail end of disco. Matter of fact, there's a disco version of the Star Wars theme.
Yes.
By Migo. That's great. It's actually pretty good.
There were all these marketing things that, even the action figures weren't ready for Christmas. Nobody knew.
Oh, that was so disappointing.
What Star Wars was going to become. And then when the marketing started, you got plush R2-D2s, and I had a pair of C-3PO underoos.
But keep in mind too, back then, that type of marketing with toys and action figures and everything didn't really exist. I mean, you had some Mego figures, and you had the AMT Star Trek models and stuff.
Right.
But
you had the Corgi little ships.
Yeah, but not to that extent that they went to once Star Wars was a hit.
I agree. You had the Justice League play set for Mego, the Planet of the Apes, Jungle House or Tree House,
Star Trek bridge and everything.
Right. And
you had the plastic Batman with a parachute you could throw up in the air.
Right.
Well, there was a plastic Spock and Kirk you could throw up in the air too, like a little green.
There was a plastic Cornelius.
Well, there was also the plastic Kirk or the plastic Spock helmet. With the siren light on the top.
The light, the red light.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
Oh, they would slap anything. The first toy company that got the license for Star Trek just slapped the name on any toy that they had that wasn't selling well.
I'm waiting for J.J. Abrams to make some of that canon, just include it in a movie somewhere or something.
The spoiler alert, I've read on the interwebs that they've got the green light for a fourth J.J. Abrams Kelvin universe.
Wow.
They signed the actors, so
that's where they'll have the Spock helmet and the gun that shoots the little plastic discs and things.
Oh, those
tracer guns.
Yes. Take a page out of Disney's book and start embracing some of that stuff and make some money off. But so anyway, and I remember when I saw Star Wars, there was a program, and it was, very basic, nothing special. But I remember them calling Darth Vader the Dark Lord of the Sith in his little section, and the picture of the character. And you wondered, what is the Sith, and how is he the Dark Lord of it? And we found out what Jedis were. So then Empire comes out after the holiday special, and we see Boba Fett with bounty hunters, IG-88, Boss,
Zuckuss,
and right, and I know there was a lot of people on Twitter. Oh, this about the book. Hey, look, we could have got the book of what was that? Half robot, half human. That
Lobot.
The Lobot. It could have been the book of Lobot. So okay, let's.
People
anyway,
would watch.
For me, I thought Boba Fett, and I did get the action figure. You had to send in so many little, UPC codes from the back of these.
The one that shoots the rockets?
No, the rocket glued in at that point.
Yeah.
But
so it was a special figure. It wasn't like something you could go down to Toys R Us and buy.
Right.
So that probably added to the mystique.
It was. And so I think for me and those, maybe others like me who had all the action figures, you were able to play out these adventures that you didn't see on screen. And you gave, Boba Fett this, charismatic, he's a bounty hunter and he works with Darth Vader and, whatever that story was. For any given person. And then the disappointment in Return of the Jedi when it was like watching Laurel and Hardy. I mean, he kind of, bam. And it was like, but he's, go ahead.
I was just going to say, they do that. They got rid of Darth Maul in the same way. He came back, luckily, but I thought, I bet a good friend of mine, $20, I said, there's no way Darth Maul's dead. He'll be back in the next movie. There's no way they're going to kill an amazing, cool character like that. And they did.
See, I thought he was gone.
You had to wait like 25 years. But
well, right. One of the joys of David Filoni working on the Clone Wars, and, he's the heir apparent to George Lucas. I mean, George has said as much, that he kind of filled in the blanks, so to speak, in that animated series. And as we would watch it, I would talk with Karen and be like, well, that episode was Christmas toy episode because there were all these different kinds of aliens and robots and ships and stuff. And it's like, okay, that was more kid. But look, they talked about these like deep geopolitical, overthrowing governments, and they brought in the Mandalorians. And, one of the things with Boba Fett, it's like, wait, he has Wookiee braids on it. Does he hunt Wookiees? There were all these questions that weren't answered, and for me it just added to the mystique. I've always enjoyed, I won't say he's my favorite character, but I've always enjoyed the character of Boba Fett because he was the only one of Mandalorian descent or whatever. When the Clone Wars hit and they filled in all the story about who Mandalorians are and Mandalore and the different, factions and stuff, then it was like, well, then they give us the prequels and Boba's actually a clone. And it's like, oh, okay. Again, the story just, so I was very excited, there's going to be a book of Boba Fett. How did he survive the Sarlacc pit? I think that's how everything started on the interwebs with Twitter and Facebook. How's he going to? And Lord Blood-Rah and I were actually talking about this. Lord Blood, I'll let you tell the story. There's a very famous Hollywood type who got a credit, a writer's credit on the episode for explaining how Boba Fett survived the Sarlacc pit.
Is that right? No, I don't remember this at all.
It wasn't you?
I don't think so.
I will say, and congratulations to Lieutenant Debbie and Chief Engineer Bob. They got married recently, and your commander had a bit too much to drink, I would say. so now Lord Blood-Rah,
too many beers and pina coladas, and now you're imagining people telling you things. But
no, I swear to God,
I don't know. Somebody.
Do you remember getting up and doing a speech?
It's Patton Oswalt, the actor.
Yeah.
And
there was like a video he made, I think a couple years ago, where he described the scene of how Boba Fett should reappear.
And so if you show the video that they shot for the Book of Boba Fett, and someone did this where they overlay it with Patton, like, explaining a hand coming up from the sand.
Hilarious.
God, who did I talk to that told me that story now?
Are you sure it wasn't just a chair with a coat on it?
It could totally have been me. Completely possible it was me. But I don't remember that. But that's great. I mean, and when you think about it, how is he going to get out of the Sarlacc pit?
Right.
You know, it was the most logical way that it could have happened. Yeah.
Well, and let me ask, so we kind of like gave our intro to Boba Fett. You guys ready to go into the Book of Boba Fett proper?
Yeah, might as well.
Sure.
That's what we're here for, right?
Yes, sir.
We're like 15, 20 minutes into the episode. Let's talk about the Book of Boba Fett.
Right. One of the things that I kind of questioned was he got out of the pit with his armor on, and spoiler alert, kids, we're going to talk about the whole series.
We're going to spoil the whole thing, yeah. Yeah,
so why did he think his armor was still in the Sarlacc?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just thought he was delirious.
Well, I thought he was unconscious when the Jawas pulled all the armor off him.
That's it.
So when he wakes up, he's just armorless.
I rewatched the first episode, and he's laying there unconscious, and the Jawas pull the armor off of him and take it. So he's suitably messed up because he was in the Sarlacc. He doesn't know where it was. Okay. Now, I laughed out loud at that scene where his ship is hovering over the Sarlacc pit because I'm thinking, okay, here comes his revenge.
Right.
for having been inside there.
Wondered though, like, why did he get so close? Like, did he need to be that close? Because
he was kind of hovering and he couldn't see anything, so he got a little closer. And then he finally turns the light on. It's like, well, he should turn the light out at the beginning, but
I think he thought the Sarlacc was dead, right? Because he killed it when he came out of it. Didn't he blast it apart from the inside?
He blasted a hole through it, but he thought it was dead.
Maybe he did.
And
I thought that thing down at the bottom was a baby.
That could have been
I thought it was an offspring in the hole there. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know.
And, so that first episode, I enjoyed the hell out of the whole sand people. We'd never really been exposed to them that much. A little bit in the Mandalorian. And just, the person I was talking to about Patton Oswalt was saying that because I was like, oh, it's kind of like Maori, and to them it was like American Indian.
Mm-hmm.
God, it's kind of bugged me. Who was I talking to? Anyway.
You might have been talking to yourself.
Oh, God. That might be right, Bob.
But no, I mean, that kind of brings me to kind of my complaint. But I loved all the scenes with the Sand People and his flashbacks and his journey to be, getting the gaffy stick and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But when it would go back, he'd wake up in the Michael Jackson tank, and then you'd come to like, quote, modern times or present day. And I was not interested in any of that.
Oh, interesting.
It was really the Sand People stuff that, his that journey, that story, that's really what interested me in the series. Carrying the present day storyline all through to the end. I mean, thank God the Mandalorian came in. The best episode of the series was the one that Boba Fett wasn't even in. But I just couldn't get into that story,
Yeah.
So, hey, get back to the Sand People again.
I kind of agree. I think for me, the problem was in the execution because, well, for one thing, the flashbacks didn't serve a purpose in illuminating anything that was happening in the present day. Usually you have a flashback, something's happening to the character, they have a flashback, and it illuminates something that's going on or why they're reacting away or whatever. The flashbacks were just there to catch us up to where he was at. They didn't really have any, pertinence to what was going on. And it was sort of...
Brian would like to talk to Potatoes.
Hello? Siri is in the room?
We're on a party line.
Yeah. So it felt a little disjointed. So I felt like it was I really liked the idea that here's this guy, this bounty hunter. He has this near-death experience. Then he's got this armor stripped away, literally stripped away, this thing that gives him his sense of identity and everything. He's in a very vulnerable position. He winds up with these people, and they show him an entirely different way of life. So he is completely like reborn with these people. And like Bob said, that whole story was really interesting. And I kind of wish it had proceeded chronologically, and maybe we had started the first episode and you see Jabba's ship explode and, Luke and Leia and all those guys head off on their skiff. Maybe there's nightfall, and then maybe we see his hand like pop up from the desert. He gets out of the Sarlacc pit, and then we just go chronologically with his story. But I think they were afraid if we didn't keep seeing Boba Fett in the armor, people would turn the channel,
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed the whole series, not as much as The Mandalorian, but I enjoyed the series. But the flashbacks just told you, okay, this is how he got out of the Sarlacc pit and survived. But then it didn't explain at all why he wanted to become the daimon.
Yeah.
Is he just still a gangster? He has a lot more morals. He wants to rule with respect, not out of fear. I thought maybe in the beginning it's like, oh, okay, he's going to work for the Tusken people to gain more respect among the cities of Tatooine. Maybe there's that, but no, that never happened. So his motives were never made absolutely clear. Why did he want to become daimon? Why did he want to change Jabba the Hutt's reign so much? Why did he want the respect of the people so much? That bit of character development just never.
Mm-hmm. But then again, like towards the end, though, it almost seemed like he didn't want to do it.
Yeah,
he doesn't want it. So I don't know, but there was no arc or development to lead him to why he wouldn't want to do it when he wanted to so much at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of like, it's like, this is stupid. Why do we do this stuff for these people who don't give two craps about us? We should be, controlling our own lives. And then, I thought maybe he was going to try to make things better for the Tuskens, and that they would maybe come back towards the end of the show, but nothing happened with them. So that it was a little, for me, it was uneven in that sense that, they built all this stuff up with the Tuskens and that he was trying to redeem himself sort of. And then I don't know, nothing seemed to come of that.
Yeah. I agree. The character motivations just didn't seem to be there or make much sense.
But for me, and maybe it's because it stopped doing a lot of flashbacks. I thought, was it episode 4 where they explain how he and Fennec Shan met? That I thought that was a turning point, and the series started getting better. Because I would say like 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I was kind of. It almost lost me on the 3rd episode, and then with the 4th, I thought it started getting a lot better.
Well, there were 2 scenes that just really tore me out of the whole Star Wars thing. One of them was in that episode that you mentioned when he takes Fennec Shan to the body shop to get it repaired. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, you've got hip-hop music blaring. And so I was like, no, wait a minute. What's going on? I don't mind hip-hop music at all, but make it sound vaguely like it fits in this universe. Make it sound vaguely like it, put it in another like something. Make it sound like it comes from the Star Wars universe.
Have the other Cantina band rapping, right?
What's that?
Have the Cantina band rapping.
No, the other scene was the motorcycle gang.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like
the mod motorcycle gang out of nowhere. I was like, what? No, they just the aesthetics don't belong. It just doesn't belong there.
You guys all just talk about story and logic, and they had the little guy that was flying the spaceships at Disneyland as a card dealer in the bar. I mean, that to me was fan service enough.
I will say there are little touches like that I do enjoy, where they incorporate things like that. I understand, Larry. Yes, we have hammered on it quite a bit here.
Well, not as bad as Batman versus Superman, but yeah.
I enjoyed Boba Fett.
I will say something. I think they really latched onto the whole idea, and there's going to be more story to tell because there's Bo-Katan involved in this, and Mando season 3 is coming. But when they introduced the Mandalorian season or series, they chose Boba Fett's people or armor. I mean, the Mando's helmet is very reminiscent of Boba Fett's helmet.
Oh, sure.
And I think it, latched onto us. It was great storytelling. Go back and check our podcasts on season 1 and season 2, and you'll hear about my man cry. I will say no crying at the end of Book of Boba Fett. So
you didn't even cry during the Luke Skywalker Grogu episode?
No, I did think that was very touching, though.
Or when Grogu comes peeking out over the X-Wing, and we find out, he made his decision.
It was touching. It pulled on the heartstrings, but it wasn't worthy of the second season finale with the embrace of the Mando's face.
Little hand on the face.
Yeah, but you predicted that in the episode we did, though.
That was so funny.
Because you said, he's going to take his helmet off, and then Grogu's going to touch his cheek, and I'm going to start crying. Like you had a vision. But
I lost it.
Go back to Boba Fett, though.
But yeah. Well, real quickly. So the Mandalorian, when Boba Fett was introduced, there was this whole different Boba Fett, the way that he fought and stuff. And granted, we'd only seen him for 6 minutes prior to that, maybe 10 with the animated stuff. And I think what they did in the first, the flashbacks with the Tuskens is explain how Boba Fett had changed and was the Boba Fett that we were looking at in the Book of Boba Fett. With regards to why he wants Jabba's, he made a mention of Bib Fortuna betraying him, and that's why he killed Bib. Maybe in the second season they'll flesh that out more. I don't know, but I didn't have that big of a problem with some of the hiccups in the stories and the flashbacks and stuff. But that being said, Chief.
Oh, what? Oh, no, I was just going to mention Ming-Na Wen, who plays Fennec Shan. Yes. Yeah, I used to watch her every week on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Mm-hmm.
So, she's pretty familiar. And I got to say, they have that one phrase, resting bitch face. She has that down to a science.
I would say she's got resting badass face.
No.
I wouldn't call that bitch face. That's like
she's got that face that is just like, I hate your guts, but I'm going to put up with you.
Oh, to me,
even
it's
when
like
she's
I'm
talking to someone she
likes.
likes.
Any minute.
What's that?
To me, it's like I'm going to kick your ass any minute.
Oh yeah.
It's like this razor sharp, like focus that she has on her characters. She's great. She's really wonderful.
When I would act up as a kid in public, my mother would give that look like, "Coming, boy,
Larry."
And you're not going to know when, where, or how.
It'll be a stealth attack.
But there's a belt with your name on it.
There were so many characters in this show. I mean, especially when we got to episodes 5, 6, and 7, because then we had the whole Mandoverse, right? So Mando comes in, Grogu, Ahsoka, Luke.
Well, real quickly before we get into that, Walker, I want to talk because I never read the comics or the books, but a Wookiee gladiator, a badass Wookiee gladiator,
Black Chrysanthemum. Yeah,
Black Chrysanthemum. Man, I'd watch a series just for him.
Right.
You know, this is the thing. Like, I think we all grew up thinking, Chewbacca is tough. But you know what? If you look at Chewbacca in the movies, you could always see, like, Chewie is kind of skinny. His arms are kind of skinny and everything. And you see somebody like Black Chrysanthemum, and you realize Chewie is kind of a little Wookiee. I mean, he's not a big badass Wookiee. I mean, that guy is a big mother humper. I mean,
man, yeah.
Well, see, I was reading today that, because I was wondering, okay, is he in the cartoons? Is he? Because I tell everyone before the show, I'm a movie guy, so I haven't seen the cartoons, I haven't read the books, I haven't, played the video games. So I was thinking, did he exist before? I read today that he was in the Marvel comic of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's where he came from.
I saw
Filoni, he digs deep.
Oh, yeah. I saw a video because they explained, who is Black Chrysanthemum. Right. And he was held by, the Walrus people. I don't know what the name of that race is. Oh, but he was held by that race as a gladiator for, like, years until he was able to escape, which explains, one, why that scene where he's drunk in the bar, he just sees one of them, puts down his mug, walks over, and just rips his arm off for no reason.
Right.
Because he hates these people with a passion. And it also is why he was sent in the last episode to watch over that community of that race. Because Boba knows he's got a big beef against these people. So he'll be a badass there. No, he's a wonderful character. I was so glad that they brought him back. I mean, I didn't know who he was before I saw him in Book of Boba Fett, but now that I do, I want to see more of him.
That would definitely. Max Rebo in the bar, for Jennifer Beals, a character to say, "Okay, hit it, Max."
Yes.
I hope he survived the bombing. Actually,
I'm sure he did. No, it was his day off.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was his day off. You don't see him on the stage when so it's his day off.
He's lucky. He got through the sail barge and he got through the bombing. So
that's right. Yeah, he's gonna be one of the survivors.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I got to ask you guys, what was your reaction when you saw Danny Trejo walk in with a Rancor?
Yes,
I love
it.
I embrace
Danny Trejo.
I mean, that's like Rosario Dawson when they introduced her in Mandalorian as Ahsoka Tano. Oh, yeah. Give me more of that.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But, I mean, there was, like, no spoilers. I had absolutely no idea Danny Trejo was even in this.
Well, me neither. It was a total surprise.
And here he comes leading a Rancor into the show.
How brilliant was that casting, though?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely perfect. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So back to Walker's point with Legacy Luke, Ahsoka Tano, R2-D2, the X-Wing again showing up.
X-Wing.
Grogu.
Yeah. Cobb Vanth again. Cad Bane. I mean, we had like 8 characters shoved into one episode. It was, it's crazy. It's like Infinity War all over again.
Karen, I had read online that the plan that Disney has is to introduce, 4 or 5 series that will ultimately wind up in a cinematic. I don't know if it'll be a 3-film story or just a one-off like Rogue One of all these characters. So it's Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, the Rangers. What is it? Rangers of the Republic.
Rangers of the New Republic.
Of the New Republic. And there's a fourth, the Ahsoka story, all going to lead to. I don't know if that's ultimately going to happen, but we're getting more Star Wars stories on Disney TV shows than we've had for years. I mean, we had
more stories, but better stories.
Better stories.
Now, the next one up, though, is Obi-Wan, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi. So
yes,
is that going to somehow fit into the others, or is that going to be just a standalone on its own series?
Obi-Wan takes place much earlier,
right?
Yes.
So I don't think it will have much connection to the Mandoverse.
No, it's when he first gets to Tatooine after Order 66.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically dead by the time the Mandalorian comes around anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's a
force ghost, whatever your definition of dead is.
Yeah.
I like to think all this new and better Star Wars is their way of making up for the rise of Skywalker. I tried to watch that movie again, and I can't. I just can't. I can't get through it. I got like 15, 20 minutes into it, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, because I know how deeply they mangle what they could have had from the previous film and built on that.
That's about as far as I got into Dune.
I know. I know.
But, this is the difference.
For the record, I love Dune.
Here we go. This is going to become the new Batman Superman.
But yes, I cannot watch Batman Superman again, though. So.
You cannot or you can't?
I cannot.
You know what? I could, just for the sheer camp ridiculousness of it. I think that's the way some movies like that work, is you're looking forward to it and you see it and you're disappointed in it. But then as time goes on, you go through like maybe a hate watch phase. Then you just kind of laugh at it. Yeah. Like Batman and Robin. That's the one with Mr. Freeze, right?
Yeah.
Right, that's it. I took both of my boys to see that when it premiered. If I wasn't with them, I would have walked out. Now, every time it's on, I watch it just to laugh at the ridiculousness going on screen. So I think it'll evolve. It'll evolve. In a couple of years, you'll watch Batman Superman and laugh at it.
I enjoy it.
Batman Superman?
Yeah, but anyway, we'll pivot back to Boba
Karen
Fett.
puts a stop to that.
Yeah.
We can talk more offline.
No.
Not again.
I can't do this again. But anyway.
Hey, Frank brought it up. Sorry.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
So anyway, Frank was trying to watch The Last Jedi and could not. Bringing
Lord
it back
Blood-Rah.
to Star Wars.
Could not, and I think that all of this new Star Wars is making up for that, because we're getting really good, solid Star Wars stories in these series so far. Hopefully that keeps going. But
right.
So far,
they have a plan. You have these guys, Filoni and Favreau, who come in and they plan this stuff out. As opposed to the new sequel trilogy, which all the stuff I've read and sat through, you can tell was not planned. Mm-hmm. And there was stuff that was planned and obviously reversed, and it's just a mess, right? But
it didn't have a singular vision.
Right, exactly.
Right.
But these guys have come in and they made a plan. This is what we're going to do with the Mandalorian. This is what we're going to do with Boba Fett and Ahsoka. And, they have ideas going out for, years and years of storylines. And it's very similar, I think, to what Marvel did with a lot of their characters. They plan it out and they've got a vision for where everything's going to go. And
well, I think the smartest thing they did was they brought in Favreau. And he was from the Marvel side of things. And I think he looked at what Kevin Feige had done, and so that's kind of how he started structuring the whole Star Wars thing.
Yeah,
are you listening, Universal?
Sorry, Blood-Rah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just said, are you listening, Universal?
No.
Oh God. Yeah.
He and Dave Filoni. I mean, Filoni just digs deep. And, he's the reason we have Ahsoka Tano.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember fandom blew up when it's like, what? How can you're going to retcon Padawan learner for Anakin Skywalker. What are you doing? And now, Ahsoka Tano and the Mandalorian, everybody like pooped themselves. Whoa.
Well,
makes sense. There's a lot of years there that,
right.
The Clone Wars were a lot of years, so.
They told some good stories. Like I said, some of them were for the kids, but there were a good number of episodes that were very well themed.
Yes.
For all viewers.
The Clone Wars is the only reason I even remotely like Anakin. I mean, the Anakin we got in the prequels was such a jerk,
Mm-hmm.
But the Anakin in the Clone Wars, you could see, the person he was, why his friends would, care about him, why his friends were concerned for him, why, he was a great leader, he was a great this or that. You didn't see any of that in the prequel films, but in the Clone Wars, you got to see that person.
That's right. He was a hero among the clones because he stood up for the clones.
Mm-hmm.
He realized these are people; they're not just fodder. Yeah.
And that was part of Ahsoka's story as well. I mean, the finale that they gave to the Clone Wars with her, laying out all the helmets, and then Anakin showing up as Vader, knowing that it was her. I mean, it was like so deep. But anyway, so it was a beautiful thing to see. Here's Grogu learning with Luke Skywalker the ways of the Force. And what touched my heart, what almost caused me to man cry, Bob, was Luke saved and kept Yoda's lightsaber. Yoda never used it in Empire or Return of the Jedi. There was no reference to it, but Luke found, and kept it. And to me, it was kind of like, doesn't that kind of break the Jedi code because you have an attachment? But then I thought, no, because Obi-Wan kept Anakin's lightsaber to give to Luke when Luke came of age. So could Grogu be a descendant of Yoda? And I don't know. I'm just,
And the whole attachment thing is wishy-washy anyway.
Yeah. I kind of thought maybe Luke would have moved past that because it seemed to me in both Empire and Return that, I don't know if you want to call it attachment or love or whatever, but it was his love for his sister that allowed him to overcome Vader in the fight in Return. But then it was his love for his father that allowed him to redeem him too. That he made it his mission. Ben and Yoda are saying, "Oh, you got to go kill Vader. You got to kill him." He's like, "He's my father. I can't kill him. I'm gonna redeem him. I'm gonna save him."
And yet he almost did kill his father.
But he stopped himself. He had the strength that nobody else, none of the others had. And I think it was because he wasn't inculcated by those Jedi that we saw in the prequels who were so jacked up. He was like an iconoclast. He came in and he's doing it his own way, even though he had training from Yoda and Ben, he kind of rejected some of that training. He still had attachments to Leia and Han. He still had his friends and he maintained those relationships, and those actually gave him strength rather than, becoming a distraction. So the fact that he was telling, Grogu, well, you can't have attachments, and, if you do this, you got, and it's like, I have a hard time believing Luke is going to behave that way.
And then what happens? It's like Grogu goes back and sees the Mandalorian. What's the first thing he does? He hands him that little shift knob.
Yeah.
It's like, that's his attachment. Right. He's got attachments.
Yeah.
And Karen, what you were saying just makes me mourn Rise of Skywalker more, because the big denouement in that could have been there is a balance between complete detachment and attachment to relationships and life. There is a balance between the light and the dark side, which is what Star Wars was supposed to be about from the beginning. And I'm going to stop rambling about it. Depresses me every time I talk about it.
At least we didn't get a speech about, what was it, the Bogan and the Altha or whatever, his original conception of the Force. And he had the 2 different names for it and all the crazy.
I don't think I've heard about that.
Oh God. Yeah. If you read some of the original script, it's pretty. I'm glad we got the Force and not some of the other stuff. Yeah. But we still got the midichlorians. So
you don't hear much about that though.
For the edification of the listeners like me that are movie people, why don't you guys talk a little bit about who, what, background of Cad Bane?
Well, who wants to start that off?
Badass bounty hunter, gunfighter, Lee Van Cleef in Star Wars Land.
Lee Van Cleef, yes, sir.
In Clone Wars, Boba Fett was kind of his protege.
Yeah, it was like a teenage Boba Fett.
Yeah, teenage Boba Fett. They met in prison, I believe. And this is, I didn't see these episodes, but I saw synopses of this. And he, Cad Bane kind of took him under his wing and trained, taught him the bounty hunter business. Essentially, that's pretty much all I know about it. So it was an interesting kind of closing of the circle, the final episode.
Cad Bane was a creation of Dave Filoni and those guys doing the series, as was Ahsoka. And I don't remember how soon Cad Bane came into the series, but it was fairly early on. I remember Ahsoka was there from the very beginning. There was a Clone Wars, like a animated movie, almost 2-hour movie, and Ahsoka was. Told this story before, but me and my friend Jay went to see this animated movie, and we were the only 2 adult men in the theater without children. And all the parents were looking funny at us, sitting off in the corner. Anyway, he definitely came in early on, and he was a foil to the Jedi, because what I feel the Jedi were in episode 1, 2, and 3, they were very pompous.
Mm-hmm.
And he exploited that masterfully. And, it was like he'd always escape, from the Jedi. So well, I don't know the name of the voice actor. But he had a scene with Fennec at some point in the Clone Wars. And so I was wondering, why didn't they kind of address each other in the Book of Boba Fett?
They were in Bad Batch, right? Weren't they?
Bad Batch. You're right.
Yeah, they were. They both went after Omega in Bad Batch.
You're right. It was
yes. That's right.
So, it would be interesting if they bring in an adult Omega in season 2 of the Book of Boba Fett.
I know. It's
right?
possible.
Hey, one of the things that Karen and I were going to kind of pivot, Bob, had discussed was using legacy characters in these series. Boba Fett is I consider a legacy character. And not only did they use him in the 2nd season of The Mandalorian, they gave him his own series. Karen had expressed concern, hopefully they're not planning a Luke Skywalker series or using him more than they really need to tell a story. Karen, why don't you kind of fill that out a little more?
So I will say Luke is my favorite Star Wars character.
No way.
I've always connected to him because, I grew up in a real small town and he was, stuck on Tatooine, and so I had this real connection with him, and he's always been my favorite. And so when they had him make that guest appearance in Mandalorian, I just about jumped through the ceiling, and I thought that was great. But then I do fear that there could be overuse of the character moving forward, and even though they got his likeness captured pretty well in this episode in Boba Fett, there was still something about it that was kind of cold. It didn't have the warmth of a Mark Hamill,
It was the voice.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that voice. Yeah, maybe that was it. It just it wasn't quite there, and so even though there's a lot of folks saying, oh, they should be they should do a Luke series and they can just do that CGI and they can capture him and do it that way. personally, it's not something I would want to see.
Yeah.
Maybe having him show up every once in a while, used sparingly, that would be great. But I just don't. I feel it's it's like a touch of magic. You don't want magic being dumped over. It's like having a bowl of cereal. You don't want to dump the whole thing of sugar in it. Right. You just want some sugar in it. So
I think for me, I took it as Luke as the teacher now, not the student, and so that he was more stoic. I don't know that it was necessarily the acting, and it's, I don't know who the voice actor was, but I know it wasn't Mark Hamill this go around.
No, it was a voice actor who didn't sound anything like him. Yeah. And they ran his voice through an AI program that studied Mark Hamill's voice, and it came out Mark Hamill. And I think that gave it the kind of cold edge to it.
Yeah, and I don't know that we'll see him moving forward too much because Grogu's made his decision, right? So now Luke's going to go and
I kind of thought that's what that episode was all about, was segueing Grogu back into the Mandalorian while segueing Luke kind of out of the series. But
into Frank's favorite movie.
I really kind of wonder, casual fans that love The Mandalorian, and then they didn't really watch Book of Boba Fett, and then the next season of Mandalorian come up, they're like, wait a second, I thought he was off, and what? Hey, I'm confused.
I'm betting. I think Grogu is too powerful in the Force to just be let go like that. I think that Luke Luke, I guess, would be the only one, is going to be keeping tabs on him.
He or Ahsoka?
Or Ahsoka. One of them. One of them, because I think he's too... Well, it felt like in Mandalorian, and if they could do this, I gotta keep going back to it, but it felt like the reason they wanted Grogu was to somehow harvest his Force power. Mm-hmm. I assumed for the clone of the Emperor.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So, and I thought to myself, if they make all of that stuff make sense in this series, they are geniuses.
Right.
If they're able to do that.
And who's to say they didn't clone Grogu already? We know they rescued him, but
they had him for quite some time. Mm-hmm. They had him for quite some time.
We don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting going forward, definitely.
Yeah.
But I'm just surprised they kind of wrapped all that up with a bow in like an episode and a half.
Well,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that is.
I mean, I thought we'd see like all of season 3 would be Grogu off with Luke and training and whatever. Mm-hmm. And then eventually maybe he'd come back. But yeah, this was just like immediately, put him back.
I like the conversation Luke had with Ahsoka is, how's his training going? It's not training so much as him remembering.
Yeah.
Could he be a clone of Yoda? Anyway, I'm going in directions here.
I hadn't thought about that. I just assumed it was because he had been at the Jedi Temple
for 50
that's
years.
What I thought too.
Yeah.
That's kind of where Luke blew it, because it's like, he's training this kid, and yet he's showing him all these deep, dark memories that he tried to forget of all these Jedi being killed and everything. And then he's got the training sphere shooting at him. It's like, if that happened to you at school, you'd be like, get me out of here.
When he crushed it, Luke was like, oh, very good.
That surprised me too.
Yeah.
That surprised me too. Yeah.
One of the things that got me too is, okay, Grogu, I'm going to help you remember, where you came from. And it was just him being rescued. Where was the rest of that story?
Maybe there are going to be more memories that are going to come up in...
That'll be the Grogu spin-off show.
Put him in the back to tank, Boba Fett's back to tank, and he can have his flashbacks.
Just Grogu the prequel. Eating frogs and remembering.
Every time he takes a bite and go off and have a memory.
Hey,
by the way, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, this is... I'm sure you're more on topic, so go ahead.
No, I was going to make a joke about the love child of Yoda and Yaddle in the Jedi Council. But...
Oh, yeah. The Star Wars universe is brutal. Open slavery, right? Because the droids are intelligent.
Mhm.
They're just slaves.
It's always bothered me.
Intelligent beings eat other intelligent beings and don't think anything of it. Right? It's not considered kind of a form of cannibalism. It's just, this other intelligent creature is tasty. I'm going to kill it and eat it.
Have you seen I think it's Discovery Channel, the documentary on octopus and how intelligent they are?
I know that, yeah.
And we eat them. So I mean,
I don't know. I honestly don't anymore.
Well, we eat dolphin too.
No, I don't eat dolphin. I do eat cow, but I don't know how intelligent they are.
I eat cow. I eat pig. Pigs are intelligent.
Pig.
Fair enough.
Well,
but they're just so damn good.
They are.
I mean, cows have to be intelligent, right? Because they keep getting abducted.
Yeah. Babies were just so good. Those tadpoles.
Just so damn good. But no, that's right. Yeah, it's a different level of intelligence, but they're very intelligent. Yeah, they manipulate tools and logic, problem solving. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So what do you guys think? Now, Ahsoka was not part of Luke's Jedi training academy. Was she just like a friend? Was it just the Force that led her there because Grogu had a decision he had to make? Or will we get more of that story in the Ahsoka Tano series? And how awesome was it, though, that Anakin Skywalker's Padawan learner, who she fought to the death in that Sith temple in the Rebels animated series, and that dialogue with Vader was brilliant between Ahsoka and Vader, and and his son have this conversation. I mean, it was amazing to me that we saw that, those two worlds colliding, the learner, and the son of the beloved teacher that she had who fell to the dark side. Oh,
yeah.
Just absolutely stunning.
I got to catch up on all this stuff because it lends an emotional weight to the series that, like, I understand in Obi-Wan, Darth Vader is going to be in it. He's going to appear, which great, because that means that they don't in A New Hope, that is not the first time that they've met after
we meet again
years, because it's so anticlimactic if you look at it.
Yeah.
What's the thing? I mean, when does the Obi-Wan series take place?
I think
it's between the prequels and before New Hope.
I don't know how many years, but yeah.
10 years is what I read.
Is it 10 years?
That it's, Luke and Leia are going to be in it as well at 10 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and there will be conflict between Obi-Wan and Vader. I'm not going to say a fight, but and it's going to be Vader in the suit. In the Ahsoka series, the rumors that I've heard is that it's going to be the Force ghost of Anakin talking to Ahsoka and not Vader, but that they're going to use, sorry, Karen, it's going to be Hayden Christensen and not the voice actor from the Clone Wars.
Oh, yeah, no, Hayden Christensen's playing Vader. And
he's going to be in both. Yeah.
Well, maybe he got better. Well, he won't have George directing him either. So it won't just...
That's
what's
true.
wrong with that?
Or writing him.
Faster and more intense.
I don't know. I still think George is still kind of hovering. I think he's still hovering. He's still around somewhere.
Well, on the series, yes, because they love and they respect him. On the Frank's Lord Blood-Rah's favorite movie, not so much.
I think it's good. They still he's still around working with Filoni. He had input on like Ahsoka and Bo-Katan and some of these other characters. So he's still hovering
the whole
around.
Concept about the Mandalorians, that was a lot of George talking with Dave about what he thought that could be. So
well, and there's so many. There are pages and pages of like drawings and little scribbles of ideas that they recycle to this day.
Or never used.
Yeah. So there's still stuff from when George was in charge that they they go back and reference and put into shows. Like the whole episode with the ice spiders was Ralph McQuarrie drawings from back in the day. And this is really cool. Let's use it. So, it goes on and on.
Here's another question / problem that I had just trying to figure out. So when the Mando shows up in Book of Boba Fett, and I thought that was one of the darkest moments in any Disney production ever, when he takes the dark blade and he slices that dog alien in half and decapitates him and throws the head on the table. And I'm just like, whoa. What do you guys? I mean, when we left him, Bo-Katan was gonna fight him for the dark saber because the dark saber could only belong to the leader of Mandalore. Blah blah blah.
She didn't say she was going to fight him.
Well, she wanted the saber. I mean, you were led to believe that they were. Yeah, there was going to be some kind of a reckoning there. And did he kill her? Did she walk away and decided she didn't want to fulfill her destiny? No, he shows up in a butcher shop, with the blade, finds the armorer, the one lone surviving Mandalorian from season 1 is there and wants the saber because of his generational attachment to it. Why does he still have the dark saber?
Right, because he was told he's not a Mandalorian anymore.
He's not,
Which is not.
But he's holding it, so it's like, all right, come and take it from me.
Well, and I thought Karen would have appreciated the Dungeons and Dragons portion of the story where it's like, you must go to the sacred lakes below Mandalore and find... And what does he want to do with the spear? I want to make chainmail. And I'm like, God, if this isn't an episode of the D&D that I used to play with Walker, I don't know what is.
I wanted to cry when they melted down that spear. That spear was so cool.
Oh.
I was like, what?
This is the way.
I know. Yeah.
I hope it was kind of big to give Grogu a big old spear. I mean,
right. I hope he realizes that he is a Mandalorian. He's just not of that sect anymore.
Maybe Grogu's going to get the dark saber.
Oh.
Cut his head off. Yes, it's a good point, Lord Blood-Rah, because I think they sort of started to, plant that seed in the second season of Mandalorian with Bo-Katan's people, and he got very disturbed by that, and took off because it's all he knows.
Zealot sect, yeah.
But he should start to realize that there's more than one way to be Mandalorian.
These are the ways.
These are the ways. Well, I guess we'll see come Mando season 3.
Yeah. When's that due?
Later this year, if not early next year, I think.
So, what are, I guess they are going to make a season 2 of Boba Fett.
They are going to make a season 2.
Any predictions on what's going to happen with
let's talk about the finale. I mean, him riding the Rancor, and the Rancor kind of pulling some King Kong moves on the
definitely very King Kong
towers, and that was
that was great.
Well, somebody was saying it was just basically Filoni and Favreau and what's it, Rodriguez?
Oh, yes.
All just sitting around playing with their toys, and they made an episode out of it.
I got no problem with that. It was entertaining.
No problem with it.
No problem with that at all.
But Robert Rodriguez, he directed about 4 episodes of the 7, or 3 of the 7,
something like that.
I don't know how many, but it was if not half, close to them.
And then Bryce Dallas Howard, she basically directed the Mando episode.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the voice of Doc Strassi too, wasn't he? The mayor, I believe.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, Rodriguez did 3.
Yeah. But no, I mean, they combined to make a pretty cool finale.
Yeah.
I like the mayor character as well. He was so such a political slime ball.
Oh yeah. And the mayor's major domo.
Oh, that guy was
really
great.
He was great. Brilliant. Sending him out as a distraction was just wonderful.
And he reads, he's like, Let me ask you something else. what if
and I will give you nothing.
Not to brag, but I was educated on Coruscant. No, I'm just saying.
That was brilliant.
But no, I mean, it was basically nonstop bang bang action through the whole episode, which I guess, if you're only going to have 7 episodes, you might as well finish it up with, the fireworks.
And I like that they addressed, because one of the criticisms I had heard in the middle of the series was, Boba Fett's an old man now, and he's not, he's slow. What is it? Cad Bane flat out says to him, "You've gotten soft in your old age," and he says, "We all do."
Yeah,
he's just that honest about it. We all do.
We all do.
Well, one of the things that was funny to me, I picked up Taschen, the bookseller, had a sale, like half price sale on their books, and I got that the Star Wars archive.
Oh.
And they had some nice pictures with Boba Fett and everything. And I'm looking in there, and you realize, like, Jeremy Bulloch, who was the first Boba Fett, was a very lanky dude.
Yeah.
Very skinny dude. And then you look at Tamora Morrison, he is a very stocky dude.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like if you wanted to stay in canon, you could say, wow, as Boba got older, he kind of filled out quite a bit.
He bulked out.
He bulked out a little bit.
Sure. He got better bounty hunting and was eating better, right? Yeah, sure. Sure, he's making more money.
He ate at better restaurants. I don't know. but yeah, I thought it was, people were complaining, he's not beating anybody's ass. He's not doing anything. He's,
How often have we seen Boba Fett beat anybody's ass before the series?
This is the
He was shooting people. He wasn't a really that great a hand-to-hand fighter that we've ever seen.
I really think going back
he captured Luke and Han Solo in the Christmas special.
Well, but Larry, it was funny because I during the course of the show, I've been having conversations with people on Twitter, and one of the things I said, and it goes back to Larry's comment about the action figures, I really think a lot of this comes from kids years ago and the stories they made up with their action figures.
Exactly.
And it was a cool looking figure, and they made up all these stories between Empire and Return of the Jedi where, Boba Fett kicked everyone's ass.
Exactly right.
And, they had all these ideas in their heads about what should happen, right? And so now even with this show, because he's kind of just, I don't know why he was always walking into town. That drove me nuts. But he was, just walking around all the time. And people were like, he's never, he doesn't shoot anybody. He doesn't do anything. But that last episode, like when he and Mando used their jetpacks and they were shooting everybody, and then he's riding the Rancor. I mean, what else do you want?
Yeah,
Well, and even in the second season of Mandalorian, he saved Mando's ass.
Oh, he was great.
Came out there with this gaffy stick, and he was like brutal, like boah.
That's right. That's right.
Like,
yeah.
Karen, I too have that Star Wars.
Oh, you have the big boy.
Oh,
dude, have you even looked at it?
It's still in plastic.
It still has saran wrap on it, so I don't think so.
It has saran wrap because I have the wee little version that you have too,
yes,
Karen.
That's the version that I can actually look at. That other version would break my legs if I tried to.
You need one of those big Gothic book stands.
I'm saving up.
I will now read from the Book of Star Wars.
I reveal my inmost self unto my Star Wars book.
Something before we go. Something that you said. You said when we were first hearing when Star Wars first came out, Darth Vader, Lord of the Sith. What was a Sith? We didn't know what a Sith was. Do you remember Darth Vader being called the Lord of Cheem?
No.
Darth Vader. It was Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith, Lord of Cheem.
I don't remember that. I'd have to look at the program. I have it still. I don't think they referenced that though.
I want to say it's in the novel somewhere. And it's like in the introduction of Darth Vader, the Lord of Cheem, never mentioned again anywhere.
There's so much of stuff like that. Just like
I've never heard of Cheems.
If any of your listeners out there
know, my dog
Lord
Teddy, though, he is the Lord of Cheese.
Lord of Cheese.
He's followed by
that's what I'm
many
going to call him
small dogs.
from now on. Lord of Cheese.
I think that's Dark Helmut.
Dark Helmut.
Well, my friends, as this episode comes to a close, do we have any more? Oh, let us pay respects to the Gamorrean guards who fought to the bitter end.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they were loyal to the end.
They were loyal to the end.
Until they pulled a Wile E. Coyote at the end there.
Yes, they did. Right? Yeah.
Let us also rest easy that we know that Jawas are very furry. Very furry.
Yeah.
That was such a bizarre line.
I wonder if it was ad-libbed.
Maybe.
Knowing her, it could be. She's wonderful.
But it was very memorable. Yeah, it was. Yes. It was. I really enjoyed that a lot.
Furry. Very furry.
Can I get a Jawa? You what?
Did you notice when they showed the Jawa sand crawler?
Yes.
And they were on top of it, and there was the skull and everything.
The dragon, sand dragon.
But when they see Din Djarin going by in his hot rod, they point at it, and they all start waving at it.
That's what it was. Now, you love Twitter, you hate Twitter. I can't believe how much fan service that rod that they used in the trash compactor in Star Wars was used in that fighter.
Yes.
And everyone was like, oh my God, it was the part in the trash compactor. And I'm like,
well, it's like how the ice cream maker that was in Empire in Cloud City now has been in Mandalorian and now Boba Fett and the Camptono, right?
It was cool. I didn't have a problem with it, but I thought it was kind of odd that they made that ship into like a hot rod, so much so that it had like a motor on top going.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. That was another scene that took me out of it. It's like, okay, I know what you're going for, but is that thing going to have a carburetor in space? What are you doing?
A bit much.
What
now, I knew straight away when he's like, hey, why'd you modify the droid pit? Because Grogu's going to go in there at the end of the episode. That was where and sure enough, it ends with him, click, click, click.
Yeah.
No, I said no. Click, 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 click. I said, boom, and then he's, whee.
Yeah.
And that brought the Book of Boba Fett to a close.
Yeah. Yeah. In overall, enjoyable. Did not like it as much as The Mandalorian. Thought The Mandalorian was a little more sharply written. I thought the stories held together.
Well, the thing about The Mandalorian too is that you looked forward to the next episode. Like one episode ends and then you're like, oh, what's going to happen? Or, you're like, oh man, we got to wait all the way until, next Wednesday or whatever. Boba Fett was just kind of like, oh, it's Wednesday? Yeah, I think there's a new episode, right?
Oh, not me, brother. I couldn't wait.
Yeah, it's kind of,
I look forward to the new episodes, but I was like, oh, yeah, I wonder where they're going to go now, as opposed to, oh, yeah, new Mando.
Yeah.
I can see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah. I do think in some ways trying to wedge in Mando and some of these other characters to move that story forward may have been to the detriment of Boba Fett. Because like we were saying, we still a lot of his motivations and other stuff wasn't really spelled out. So it would have been nice to maybe spend some more time with him if they could have. And like, again, like the Tusken Raiders, it would have been cool if the Tuskens came to the town and fought the Pikes. And
I kind of thought that was something
I did too.
What was going to happen, that they're going to, tribes of Tuskens were going to
Yeah, I thought he was going to rally the Tuskens. And I don't know. But we'll see. Maybe that'll come up in the next season somehow. He'll do something for them, get the planet back for them or whatever. But yeah, overall, it was enjoyable. But I wouldn't put it anywhere up near Mando level of enjoyment.
I wonder if they considered going that way with Boba Fett and the Tuskens, but they thought it would be too much like Dune. Because Paul Atreides knows the true power of Arrakis is in the people, is in the Sand People. Boba Fett knows that the true power of Tatooine is with the Tusken Raiders. I wonder if they felt too close here. It's fairly close with spice anyway, right?
Right.
Talking about spice running and things like that. Desert planet.
Lucas took a lot from Dune when he created Tatooine, so it could be.
Don't know.
Possible.
I loved it so much, I'm going to go watch it again when we stop recording tonight.
I'm going to go watch Discovery.
And I'm going to lay down with my Mandalorian laser rifle and hug it like a teddy bear.
No disintegrations.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, whoops. Sorry, dear.
We need another cat. Well, my friends, it is almost that time of the show where we will have our censor sweep. But before that, Karen, you'd brought this up, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you to go ahead and share with our listeners the passing of someone dear to the Star Wars family. And then from there, Karen, you have this episode's censor sweep. Go ahead and transition into that, if you will, please, my friend. Take it away.
Sure. So, sadly, this week, we lost Douglas Trumbull. So he's a legend in the special effects community, not only a special effects artist and director, but also created a lot of technology to enable creating a lot of special effects, well known for his work on 2001. He also, though, worked on a plethora of movies, including, films like Silent Running, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the Star Trek The Motion Picture, which he essentially saved because of the effects snafus with that. He also came in and worked on Blade Runner. I mean, the guy worked on just so many visually spectacular films and was known for his ability to innovate new techniques and new technology for creating effects and was a titan of the industry. We wouldn't have all the amazing films that we have now without the contributions of Doug Trumbull. So it's very sad to hear of his passing. And of course, our condolences to his loved ones and our respects to him, that his legacy will continue on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am so unused to doing the censor sweep, my goodness. But I do actually have something this week, just hot off the presses, and in accordance or agreement with our topic tonight. I got a book called The Art of the Mandalorian, Season 2. Woo-hoo. And this is a nice big coffee table book. This is by, I'm probably going to butcher his name, Phil Szostak. And it is a beautiful book. It has a lot of great sketches and pre-production art for the second season of The Mandalorian, which that alone would probably encourage you to buy it. But it also has a lot of little... it has text that provides a lot of insight into the reasons for how certain things were designed or why they were incorporated into an episode or the history of things. You get to see a lot of variations of design and how they ultimately arrived at designs of characters and equipment and things. So if you are into that kind of stuff, if you're into The Mandalorian, I would encourage our listeners to grab this here book, which I think retails for about $40, but I picked it up, I think, for about $26 off of Amazon. And you should check out your favorite bookseller and see where you can get it.
Now, does it have a lot of that art that you see like at the end of the episodes?
If not the same, very similar.
Okay.
It's in the same style. I don't know if it has the exact art from the episodes.
Is it like the book from the first season, the art from the first season of The Mandalorian?
Yeah, I mean, I've got the first season book, so it's the same. It's in the same vein as that.
Okay.
If you got the first season one, it's a continuation of that.
Okay.
But it's a nice, if you like, the art books from different shows, it's a good pickup.
I can't wait for the Book of Boba Fett, book of art of the. Well, anyway.
The book of art of the Book of Boba Fett.
The book of the book of the art of the Book of Boba Fett.
Well, I think I will definitely check that out and add that to the collection of things that I need to read and go over. It always amazes me, Karen, how you have time to get these books and actually read them.
Oh, if you could see over my shoulder here, there's 2 stacks of about 15 books.
Okay.
So I'm working my way. My main book right now is an autobiography of Chuck Heston.
Oh.
Which is quite enlightening.
Interesting.
It's interesting. All right.
So I get all these Japanese books that I can't read, so I don't have to read them. I can just look at the pictures.
There you go. Well, my friends, as always, this was a very fun and interesting discussion. For those of you listening, we hope you enjoy your time with us as much as we enjoy our time with you. Lord Blood-Rah, again, thank you for joining us.
Always fantastic to be here.
Could you give us a quick rundown of your Patreon and where we can find you and listen to you online?
Check out lordbloodrah.com. That's where you can get all the information as to where to watch the show and catch the weekly show. New episode drops every Friday. My podcast, Lord Blood-Rah's Nerve-Wracking Auditorium, is still going. It's available anywhere podcasts are available: Spotify, Apple, Google, the whole 9 yards. You can check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Lord Blood-Rah. And if you join the Patreon there, you can check out my third weekly series called Lord Blood-Rah's Cathode Zone, where I host classic episodes of sci-fi and horror TV shows. And that's at patreon.com/Lord Blood-Rah. All of that is available at lordbloodrah.com.
All right. Well, thank you again for being with us. And,
thank you. Always a pleasure to be here.
All right. That's the end of the episode. Peace out.
On that note, this will conclude this transmission from Planet 8. We would like to thank all of our intergalactic audience for listening. Be sure to head on over to our website at www.planet8podcast.com, where you can get more information on this episode's topic.
For more conversation, find us on Twitter at Planet8Cast.
Or on Facebook at facebook.com/Planet8Podcast.
We want to thank you guys for tuning in each and every episode. We look forward to your input and opinions. Until next time, this is Planet 8 signing off. End transmission.
By George, he's got it. It is the end.
You are not a Mandalorian.
Never said I was.